Hey, 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 all my pre-K teachers and parents. So today I want to talk about 7 mistakes to avoid when communicating with young children or with your preschool students. Mistake number one, using too many words. We use too many words when we talk to our students sometimes. So give clear, concise directions. Instead of saying, okay, now I need you to please go and sit down over there at the table, say, please sit down at the table. Clear, short, quick, concise. Children understand direct messages best. Mistake number two, avoid yelling across the room. There's no real connection when we speak to a young child from so far away. Many times they are so into their play that they may not even hear you. Walk over to where they are and connect to them from there. Clearly and calmly speak to them. Number three, not connecting at their eye level. Ensure that your child's attention and be sure that you have their attention by getting down to their level. Making eye contact with them establishes that connection that you're looking for. Tell them to look at your eyes, and this helps to center them so that they can focus fully on what you're saying. And just a fun fact, most children need help with eye contact. They typically don't look you in the eye. Number four, being triggered by their behavior. So when we are upset, it's very hard for us to think clearly, just like when your child or when young children get upset, it's hard for them to think clearly. So when you see something happening that you don't want to be happening right now in your classroom or even at home, take 5 deep breaths and calm yourself, recenter yourself, and then decide how you want to respond from there. When you give a response, it's more thoughtful than when you just react. Sometimes in the mix or in the middle of seeing something that is triggering for us, we may react and say something that we really don't mean or just make the situation worse. So pause, take a deep breath, pull yourself together, and then decide how you want to move forward, how you're going to respond to that situation. A fifth, number five, a mistake to avoid is asking them meaningless questions. Sometimes we ask our students, like, why don't you listen? Or how many times do I have to tell you not to do this? Or when are you going to learn how to listen? Or asking a young child, why did you do that? So many times I hear teachers and parents saying, asking the child, like really grilling them, why did you do this? Huh? Huh? Like really expecting an answer. You're not going to get an answer because, first of all, the child doesn't even know what you're talking about. They don't know why they did. A lot of times they don't even remember what they did. Or if they did something like scribbling on the wall or spilling something, they don't have a reasonable answer to tell you, oh, I marked up on the wall because whatever, right? So it doesn't even, just don't go down that rabbit hole of asking them questions like, why did you do that? Your questions are never going to get an answer because many times they're not even really able to put their thoughts into words. And so typically they just freeze and they're just looking at you and you're all upset and triggered and asking them why, and they're not answering because, it just doesn't help. So them kids don't know what you're talking about when you're asking them all those questions. So it's better to let's just avoid that mistake. Number six, saying things you don't mean. So making threats that we can't keep muddles your message and it's confusing for the child. Like, we know that we're going on a trip to the zoo tomorrow, and because the kids are loud or they did something today, you're going to say, oh, if you guys don't settle down, we're not going to go to the zoo tomorrow. Or I'm going to cancel the trip, or whatever threat that you say. and you know you're not going to do it. You know that you're going to still have to go on the trip because you already collected the money, you already booked the bus, you already booked the venue, and the trip is happening. So now for you to tell your class that they're not going to go on the trip if they don't be quiet, and they don't be quiet, and then you still go on the trip, that's mixed messaging. Now they're confused. And then if you continuously do that over time, you're actually training your kids and your students to not listen to you. You are training them that you are a liar and you don't stick to your word. So it's best to just not make threats. It's important. This is why core is important. Creating your the expectations for your classroom so that students already know what the expectation is so that they can move and adjust themselves accordingly. And then number 7, this is a big one. I think this is one of the major ones, telling them what we don't want to see instead of telling them what we want to see. Children have a very short attention span. True, most adults have a very short attention span, myself included, but that's a different story. Anyway, children have very short attention spans. So you have to choose your words wisely. Frame your words to the positive rather than to the negative. So instead of saying, don't run or stop running, say, we use walking feet. Instead of saying, don't hit or stop hitting, we say, we use gentle hands or we use kind words. When you hear a friend, being mean or doing or saying something that you don't like, or if you see them snatching a toy, rather than telling them, stop snatching a toy or stop treating, you say, we use kind words, we have gentle hands, we share our toys, we take turns, we have listening ears. So this way, the message that you want to see, the behavior that you want to see is constantly being reinforced in your children's ear, in your students' ear, and they can get a mental picture of what sharing looks like. When we say we share and take turns, you get a turn, then your friend gets a turn. Okay? So when you tell the child in a positive way what you want to see, then you will see a lot more of what you want to see rather than what you don't want to see. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I will talk to you guys next time.